Hey guys, this is Mr. Grice for Algebra 2 Unit 3 Final Exam Review. Remember to show all your work and to write your answers on the lines. So let's go ahead and get started. Absolute value. That's right, we're doing this again. Okay, so before I can tell how many solutions it has, I have to get the absolute value by itself. So I'm going to follow the rules of SADMAP. I'm going to add 12 to both sides. I get the absolute value of 2m plus 1 equals negative 8 plus 12 is 4. So I've got the absolute value all by itself, and it equals a positive, which means there are going to be two solutions. I'm going to break this up into 2m plus 1 equals a negative 4, and 2m plus 1 equals positive 4. And then I solve them both. Okay, we subtract 1, and I get 2m equals negative 5. I divide by 2, and then we can leave that as a fraction. M equals negative 5 over 2. Okay, but there's another answer, so I'm not done. And I'm doing the same exact stuff. Subtract 1, divide by 2, and once again, I want the fraction. So my final answer is negative 5 over 2, or 3 over 2. Okay, I'm going to make that actually look like negative 5 over 2. So negative 5 over 2. Oh, that still looks weird. Hold on. That looks a lot better. Okay. Number 2. Once again, I need to get the absolute value by itself before we figure out how many solutions it has. So I'm going to subtract the 13 because I'm following the rules of SADMAP. 2 times the absolute value of negative 3y equals negative 18. The absolute value is not by itself. Right now we're multiplying that 2, so to get rid of it, I need to divide. And I get the absolute value of negative 3y equals negative 9. The absolute value is by itself, but it equals a negative, and that's no solution. So our answer for number 2, no solution. Okay, solve and write the solution in interval notation. So just like up there, I want to get the absolute value by itself. Okay, so I'm going to subtract 3 to both sides. I get the absolute value of 5w minus 10 is less than 15. So when I look at that, that is the less than, and we said less than is and. So when we solve this, I put the 5w minus 10 in the middle, less than 15. I'm using the same symbol both times. Excuse me, but one time it's positive, the other time it's negative. Okay, and then we solve. I want to get the w by itself. So I'm going to add 10, and when I add 10, I need to do it to all three sides. So we get negative 5 is less than 5w, which is less than 25. We're going to divide everything by 5, and then we get negative 1 is less than w, which is less than 5. Now, it wants us to do interval notation. And it might be hard to do interval notation if you don't see the graph. Okay, so if I have -1 over here, and there's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's 5, at -1, I would be open. At 5, I would be open. The W's in the middle, so I shade the middle. And that helps us figure out that this is open at -1 and open at 5. So that is my interval notation. Maybe I'll put a graph on that so you guys don't have to draw it by hand. Okay. Number 4. Same thing. We want to get the absolute value by itself. So right now it's multiplying by -4, so I'm going to divide by -4. We get the absolute value of 1 plus 2m. Oh, that looks weird. Okay, 1 plus 2m, it still looks weird. So there's 1 plus 2m for the third time. It's inside the absolute value. I just divided by a negative, so I have to flip the sign, and -12 divided by -3, -4, so the answer, +3. Okay, so now that is an OR graph. Okay, so we have to have the OR. It's set up to 1 plus 2m. Notice I am writing that twice. The first time it stays the same. The second time I flip it and make it negative. And the reason why I do that is because we need to make sure that that graph, when we graph it, is going in both directions. Okay? Now, we need to solve. And when I solve, I do each one individually. However, I'm doing the same steps to both sides. Did you notice that in number 1? When we were solving, we were doing the same thing. So we get -4 and 2. Then I need to divide both sides by 2. And we get m is less than or equal to -2. M is greater than or equal to 1. And there's my OR statement, okay? So this is where you would stop in Algebra 1, however you're in Algebra 2. So there's my -2, -1, there's 0, and there's 1. At -2 we are closed, and I'm going to shade to the left. At 1 I am closed, and I'm going to shade to the right. Okay, I'm going to make sure that that says 1 right there. So writing this in interval notation, we start at -infinity and it goes to -2. The break is the u, and then we pick up at 1 and go to +infinity. Okay, so I'm just going to zoom out for a second. -infinity to -2, union, and then we have 1 to +infinity. Okay, so number 5, given the function right here, f of x equals -4 parentheses, or absolute value of x minus 3 minus 5, which of the following is not a transformation that is characterized when compared to the parent function of f of x equals the absolute value of x. Use the graph if necessary. So the key thing is which is not. I was doing this too fast and I circled the ones that are. So make sure it is not. If you want to, we can graph this, okay? The things we need are the vertex. Remember when we're doing that, we take the opposite and this stays the same. So the vertex is a positive 3, negative 5. So positive 3, negative 5. And then the number out front, that's telling me to go down 4 over 1. So down 4 over 1, down 4 over 1. Our graph would look something like this. So is there a reflection over the x-axis? Yeah, there's a reflection. But which one is not? So if there is a reflection, that means there is no reflection. That's the one that is not happening. All right? Did we shift left or did we shift right? We shifted right. So this is what we did. So I did not shift left. We're doing the opposite. Did I shift up 5? No, I shifted down 5. So this is what I did do. I want what I didn't do. Now, was there a vertical shrink or a vertical stretch? There was a stretch. It was negative 4. So there was a stretch, which means there wasn't a shrink. Okay? So all the answers to that, B, C, E, G. All right. Once again, we have an equation or a function, f of x equals 3/4 absolute value of x plus 1 plus 2. So the first thing we need is what is the vertex? I take the opposite, and then the 2 stays the same. So the first thing I'm looking at is negative 1, 2, negative 1, 2, and those don't work. Now my 3/4 is telling me to go up 3 over 4. It might help if you just graph the first couple points, because I go 1, 2, 3 over 4, 1, 2, 3 over 4, sorry, 1 over. And if we do just a quick version of this graph, okay, I'm going to do that one more time so it looks a little straighter. Is that a max or a min? Well, I see the bottom, so that means the vertex is a min. So B is the correct answer. All right, well, that's going to be it for the first video. So that's it. Congratulations, it's Algebra 2, Unit 3, Final Exam Review, video number 1. If you need help on the back, start video number 2. This is Mr. Grice signing off. Thanks for watching.